Let's install some more hinges in our Avios King Twin 1700 RC airplane. In the main wing section, we've already installed pinned hinges in each of the split flaps, a total of 8 hinges. Now, the winglets, the wing tips that slide in here like that, we're going to put 2 hinges on each aileron here. So let's do that right now. Hey YouTube, it's Sean, Griffin RC Planes. I hope everybody's having a good weekend. It's Saturday evening. Hopefully some of you guys got to go fly. I ran my mom around today to get her a new phone. She had, we had to go to Verizon and deal with all that stuff, and that's another story. We ended up leaving there and going to T-Mobile. The salesman a week ago ordered the wrong phone on purpose just to increase his commission. I guarantee that that's what it was. So it was no deal, and we left and went to T-Mobile and got what she wanted for the exact price. The guy last week said, this one's out of stock. We can give you this one for the same price, but we need to order it. And then guess what? He wasn't at work today. Some other guy was. And when we get to, about time to check out, and I said, whoa, man, the price is different. What's going on? And then I explained to him, and I said, look here, look at the receipt. The guy wrote free memory upgrade, $180 value, and because they didn't have this size phone. And that guy told me, man, there's no way for me to do that. He said, there's no magic button, just can't do it. So he was understandable, and I hate it for him that he had to work for no reason, but it is what it is. That there's more to the story, but that guy, he tried to take us for a ride, and that just goes back to everybody that is taking advantage of my mom and people in her situation. Don't even get me started, man. She paid for cloud storage for probably 8 years, $20 a month, and never knew she had it. So I could go on and on and on. Anyways, let's talk about airplanes. So the Avios King Twin, the slowest P&P build. I'm going to put a couple more hinges in these little winglets, we'll call it. They slide in here and a quick connect in the main wing section here with split flaps on each side. We've installed pinned hinges, 2 in each one, so there's a total of 8 hinges on this main wing section. And then on these winglets, we'll call it, we're going to do 2 hinges on each one. I'll do one and showing you guys, how I'm doing it and so forth, and then I'll do another one in real time, just real quick. And that way you can see that, I can actually do this in like 10 minutes. And I also want to show you guys some new camera stuff. Hang tight, let me grab this thing. Alright, so for those of you that may or may not know, I've been trying to figure out what camera is best to use for what I'm doing in here. And everybody has their own need and their own want and their own capabilities and what they're good at and what they're not good at, and what works for them. So I've tried all kinds of cameras. I've got the knockoff version of the GoPro, which is still a pretty good camera. It has some audio issues. The picture is great, but the audio issues are bad. And the camera we're using right now is really good for this distance and this lighting. I've got another DJI camera that's really good, but it doesn't have a screen, so you're kind of just, trusting where it's pointed. And anyways, I came across these Galaxy smartphones, good newer phones, and they were like on the discount shelf at my local grocery store for $14.99. I mean, the USB plug and the charging cable is worth $14.99. And you get a whole phone with it that's brand new. So I got 3 of them. Because I've had the best luck at doing close-up pictures. Hey guys, look what I'm doing right here. With my phone or a tablet. But I don't want to use the phone that I talk on every day because I just don't. What if I get paint on it? Or what if I drop it? Or what if you and I are filming something that's really important and a text goes off or something? So, $14.99. But we found a little hiccup, which there always is. The stability, the jitters. So, look what I got. This is a 3-axis phone stabilizer, just like our AS3X 3-axis. We got 3 axes. 1, 2, and 3. I'm still learning how to do it, but for right now we can press and hold the power button and it will go into portrait mode, which is the phone up and down, and then we can press the power button again and it'll go like that in how we need to film. And there's tons of other options, but for right now let's do this guy. How about that? Now, there's different options on how when you hold it, it's going to hold the phone stable, just like our AS3X holds our plane stable. But there's different settings, and you connect your phone to it, so as I'm filming, the whole menu of this gizmo is on my phone. But for a quick demonstration, in this particular setup is portrait. The camera's up here. So wherever we go, it holds it in that thing. Let's say we're looking at this phone. I'm trying to show you guys something. Look here, look there, and it holds it stable. And we can press it again, I believe, and it should go into the next mode. Nope, I didn't press it long enough. Like I said, I'm learning. Let me try this button. Oh, we almost had it. We're close. But it also has a button here to turn it, the joystick button. Hang tight. All right, had to get my directions. I'm brushing up on my Korean or China as well. So let's see. We're looking for the other mode where you flip back and forth between portrait and the other one. Landscape and portrait. Let's see. The trigger button. Alright, so this is the trigger. It says to single press for smart following, double press to reposition, triple press to switch between portrait and landscape. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's how I'll film right there, because I can see everything I'm doing on the screen. You can set how fast it is. Do you want it to slowly stay on it? Do you want it to be real fast? Plus the joystick here, wherever you aim it at is where it's going to stay. Pretty cool. We're going to use that when we start putting these hinges in right now. Let's go over the parts list and tools needed to install these pinned hinges. First of all, the hinges we're using I got from Motion RC. They are a nylon pin hinge, and they call it Type A. And they got a part number of N420. They look like that in a bag, and this is what they look like out of the bag. I use a Dremel because I shave down the corners of each corner. I'll show you when we get time to doing it, but that corner and that corner to get it to fit better in this wing half. Certain planes have thicker wings, etc., and maybe you won't have to sand them down. To give you an idea of what we're doing, you see the aileron and the wing. You see this V right here. And you can take the pinned hinge, and it basically mimics the exact shape right there. Let me put half of it in there real quick. And we're going to install them from the bottom and slide them in, and I'll show you how we do it if you haven't seen it done yet. I've got a couple index cards to mix two-part epoxy on. We've got some 5-minute epoxy, and I've got it sitting in some warm water. Makes it easier to work with. Kind of loosens up the consistency of it. A couple paper towels, a couple coffee sticks that my local gas station gives me. Some rubbing alcohol, because that's good to get a mess off your plane real quick. You know, if you get some two-part epoxy where you don't want it, wet the paper towel, a little rubbing alcohol, get it off real quick. A couple X-Acto blades, regular one. This little thing, I really don't know what it is. Helps dig out the foam we're going to cut. A couple other hobby knives. This one I've bent in a little angle, and this one I've bent on an angle too to kind of help get it out. Here's another little gizmo to dig out some foam. Some throwaway little brushes. I got my magnifying glasses. And a little screwdriver because we need to disconnect the linkage so we can fold the control surface back and forth. And I'll just unscrew the hinges right there, or the screws. All right, let's get going. Alrighty then. So first things first, we need to get the control surface free. So I'm just going to undo the two screws, and then there's a back plate. That way we can flex it back and forth. There's one guy and two guy. It might be stuck on there a little bit. This wing half already got polyacrylic. And I'm just going to leave the backing plate on there. I'm going to take the screws off so I don't lose these guys. Maybe. It'd be best to have them out. That way I don't accidentally push down and poke it into the winglet. See how the hinge okay, so I take the Dremel tool and I knock off these two corners to make it just a little bit smaller, because we're going to cut a couple slots and we're going to push this directly down in there. And it just fits a little bit better. Like this side of the wing is a little thicker than this side, so I might not have to sand down as much. This one right here is already sanded down a little bit, and we'll go with this one. So for the first one, let's space it out. We'll use this mark as a reference, and then this line, and we'll just do it in the middle. That way they can be on the same winglet. It's going to go like that when I put it down in there. So I just pressed down, made a little mark in the foam there. Then I'm going to take a hobby knife and gently use my thumb as a guide so I don't go down, deeper than I need to. And go just a little thicker than the width of the hinge. And I just felt this spar in there, so we might have to do a little sanding. And then the ball part of the hinge here is actually going to be poking through halfway in between the control surfaces, so we do have to cut a small hole right down there, maybe a little bit bigger. We'll try that for now. Let's tell you what, let's use a full size one here. And then we need to dig this piece out. So I'm just kind of cutting on an angle, you know, to where it's coming out. Do a little bit more. Just doing little bits at a time. Make sure I get that lined up just right, because I started to go off a little bit. Don't want that. A little bit deeper on this side. A little bit deeper on your left side. Oops. Once we get it in there, I'll clean it all up. Oop. We're getting there. Let's try the one without. All right, I'm going to clean this up real quick, and then I'll be right back. Hard to see the white on the white on the white. Yep, that's killing you. I know it is. And you see the hump of the hinge is right in the middle. We're going to glue half of it. That way I have half of it to work with it to control it. You know, how deep it's going in and so forth. So we'll mix up some two-part in the right side, and we'll get it in there and get it centered like that, and get it hardening or drying or curing, whatever, and then we can do the other side. I also screwed up and went through a little bit too far, but it happens. All right, so let's whip up some two-part real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up our area here. A little bit more. When you push the hinge down in there, you want it to kind of squish between the holes of the hinge. Come on, you booger. Well, it's not going there. Well, Sean, it's not going because you were sticking the wrong end in it. Everything's a little more difficult on camera, guys. It is. Okay, so I got my hinge part halfway up, right? The pin itself needs to be centered up. And you got to be careful because you don't want to glue your hinge shut. So you make sure you don't get any on the hinge. There's other tricks to not, to prevent gluing your hinge. A lot of guys that are probably watching this right now have some great ideas, dabbing some Vaseline around it, or I've used chapstick before, or just be extremely careful. So it's 5 minutes. See you back in 5 minutes. Been 5 or 10 minutes or so. So let's put some 2-part in the other side. Fitty. All right, that's mixed up. My water got cool. Probably good though, because we went through the other side a little bit. So this needs to be thicker. I might come back and put another coat over this, or we'll see after this goes. See, I screwed up and cut through a little bit. Oh well. Oh well. Here, I'm going to put a little bit. Back side also. All right, I'll see you back when this dries. All right, been several minutes. It's not the best, but it'll get better. After I do a few more, you develop your technique. And I mean, this looks a whole lot better than some of the others. But I did poke through a little bit. A little dab of white paint. It'll be okay. It's not 1,000% centered, but I can tell you the next one will be. I'm thinking for the one on this end, I think we're going to go down from this side. And then I might sand it off after it dries, because that digging and carving we did was tough enough over here. It's going to really be kind of tough over here. So I was thinking about going from this end. I think that's what I'm going to do. But we're going to use a new one. And might do it kind of super simple. I might put it in and then sand it afterwards. Some of it will be sticking up. Like I'll dig out as far as I can go without poking through the other side, and then take my little Dremel and go over the top of it.
I think we're gonna do that. So I want to measure 2 inches over. Because that's where it'll match the other one. All right, so I'm just going to make an impression. When one of you guys said sharpen these things up like razor blades, maybe just push them in there, and that's a good idea. We might start doing that. Use my thumb as my finger as a guide. Try to not go any deeper than we need to. See what that looks like so far. I was pushing fairly tough right there to see if we did sharpen it up, would it cut through it and push down in there? I believe it would. This is how I did the other side. By mistake, I believe. Starting to poke through on the aileron side, so that's as deep as we can go on that side. On the wing side. You could leave them sticking up. You know, they kind of look cool. All right, we're going to glue one side of that real quick. Might get it stuck in there and then come back and paint some more over the top of it. All righty. Give something to poke with. We'll let that dry. Now that I've done this one and one other one by pushing down from the top, I think this is the way to go, and I think this is how these hinges need to be installed. Just either need to sand it beforehand, custom make it for your application, or afterwards, or leave them sticking up a little bit. Seems like it's a little cleaner of a job this way. This guy. I forget who it was that mentioned, sanding these things to a real sharp edge and then just pushing them in there. I bet you could do that, and we might try it on something. And then you could just take like some thin CA glue, the real running glue, and those little tiny applicator tips, the little tiny funnels that you do hinges with in wood planes, and you wouldn't really have to carve out anything at all. If you could really sand it down to where it's as sharp as a blade, and stick it in, and then that'll glue. So I like that. Since we got some of this mixed up right here, this side right here has got some indentations, or low spots, I guess you call them. Yeah, I might wait until it completely dries and then just get a good steady hand, and you can sand it off with a Dremel, or you can just leave it like that if you want. You could paint them black or something. Look like it'll be something different. Have a little racing stripe sticking up. And then we got a low spot right here.
All right, guys. Hey, that's all for this one. Had to put my work shirt back on there. Not bad. It'll get better. The more you do, the better you get. So, all right. Hey, I know this one ran long, so thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you got anything out of this. A little entertainment. So, hey, the gimbal worked out really good. Hope you guys think the same. All right. Hey, until next time, you'll see me. Oh, whoop, 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 whoop. Subscribe if you haven't. Ring that notification bell so you don't miss my next video. And until next time, you'll see me here. Adios.